Hey everyone, episode 3 of the QB1 Experience podcast. We have a very, very special guest tonight. Got Normal, Coach Evan Orth, youngest brother. He's here. Coach Pat.
What up?
Mr. Clemsonite brought his other former Clemsonite, Duke Blue Devil, App State Mountaineer legend, Chase Brice in the building. Coach Pat, I'll let you kick it off to intro Chase and how you got him on here tonight.
Yeah, we're super excited. Teammate, one of my very best friends, Chase Brice, spent some time at Clemson together, and then at App State, record-breaking years over there, and now with the BC Lions up in Vancouver, Canada. So Chase, appreciate you coming on, man. Excited to have you here.
Yeah, thank you. Ready to chop it up with you guys.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Chase, we were talking before we recorded. 2018. Trevor Lawrence, who's okay at football, gets hurt, and you have to come in and save the day. You're playing an absolute baller Clemson team. I want to talk about that game, and then I want you to talk about your time at Clemson. Being a South Carolina guy, obviously we hate Clemson, but I actually love Dabo Swinney. Sorry, Gamecock people. Love Dabo Swinney. Don't hate Clemson as much as probably I should, but what an incredible game that was. I mean, going into the week, and I'll let you tell the story, but going into the week, I believe, if my memory serves me right, you were third team. Kelly Bryant bounces. Trevor's thrown into the lineup to start, and then you're the backup now. Trevor gets hurt. You come in, save the freaking day, and guys go on to win a national title, right? 15-0 that year. Unbelievable performance. Just it was. I was on a bachelor party in Tampa, doing things that we shouldn't be doing, and just red hot watching this rando from Georgia come in and throw dimes all over Syracuse, and I was like, "Who the hell is this kid?" But go ahead and tell us about that game, man. What an awesome, awesome story.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much, we all loved Kelly, and when he decided to step away, I think half the guys were like, "We understand, like, you know, the new rule. He didn't get redshirted. He can now take this opportunity to save his year of eligibility." And then the other half, you know, were like thinking the opposite. Obviously, one of my best friends on the team, still talk to him today, love him. But when he decided to leave, it was like, you know, already Tuesday, and you know, tough Tuesday or Tanoga Tuesday, and like, all right, Chase, you got to go from taking some reps during fall camp into now a game prep week versus a really, really good feisty Syracuse team who beat us the year before when Kelly got knocked out. And, you know, at Syracuse on a Friday night. And so they, you know, we I guess we kind of had a little bit of a rivalry. They kind of had our number, I guess.
Yep.
But yeah, leading up to that week, it was a lot of it was a lot more prep than I was used to. When you got guys like Kelly Bryant, Trevor Lawrence, I was the signal guy. You know, I got to learn all the signals and make sure I'm on top of my game in that area. But leading up to it, a lot of nerves, but a lot of confidence from, you know, the coaching staff. I felt like, you know, Coach Streeter, Coach Sweeney, and a lot of guys in the locker room had seen, you know, me make some plays during fall camp and scrimmages and show that I can compete and play at the level, you know, the ACC, you know, big dog level. And yeah, I mean, the worst of the worst did happen, you know, like, and somebody asked Coach Sweeney that question, like in an interview, they were like, well, if it comes to, you know, Trevor gets hurt, you know, who's going to go in? He goes, well, I guess Chase Brice is going to go in. And he said it like, just like that. And I was like, I saw the clip, or somebody sent it to me in my family. And I just started laughing because, I mean, yeah, I mean, you know, from third string to second string. And so, yeah,
Now,
just a lot of prep.
True freshman year?
That was my redshirt freshman
Redshirt,
year.
okay.
So I'd got there in 17, redshirted, and then, and that was what that was our 5th game, right, Pat?
Yeah, and you really hadn't played much.
Yeah, I did. I
leading
mean,
up
I
to
had.
that.
I think I remember here. I'll never forget it. They were like, Chase Brice is going to be the backup today. He's got 8. He's got 8 pass attempts to his name, like 2 for 8 or something like that for 16 yards. And I'm like, oh, here we go. But yeah, it was
the Clemson people on Twitter are like, dear God, please, Trevor, don't get hurt. We don't want to see this guy go in.
Yeah, they're thinking like, shoot, like I guess Hunter Renfro is going to come in for Trevor, right? If something happens.
Oh yeah, I forgot that happened too. We moved Renfro over to the quarterback room, and he was starting to sit in on meetings and run like
No way, dude.
individual stuff with us.
Mhm.
Like in case of emergency,
Y'all were
Chase
loaded.
Brice freaking gets hurt, we got to put Renfro in.
Yeah.
You guys were loaded.
Yeah, we were. It was
loaded.
It was a very talented group. Receiver, I mean, just from top to bottom. So when I actually got to play, or when he got knocked out, obviously I was worried for him. I mean, that's one of our best friends, me and Pat, and like seeing him not get up, it was like, someone pinched me. That was reality right there. They're Brice. Luckily, it was 3rd down. We were going to punt, but like I'd already ripped off my penny, like took off the headset. They showed the video of me like running to get my helmet. But it was I got like my first play was a shot play, Little Rock. You got a tee on a go, Renfro coming across the middle on like a under over, and then what do we have, like a backside curl, or something like that. And then first play was like, dude gets beat up the middle, rips my jersey off. I'm like stumbling forward and just throw the ball away. And I was like, let's just get into halftime. Like, Coach Sweeney, let's not call a shot play here again. Like, that was embarrassing. Get me into halftime and calm me down.
Golly, man, what? So halftime, y'all were down, and you were definitely, I mean, you were going through what I shouldn't say every, but I would say 99% of the kids that step on the field for the first time, especially when they're young, you experienced. You're like, your adrenaline's going, bullets are flying, everybody's moving like 10 miles an hour faster than they normally do.
Yeah.
And, eventually it looked like, the reason I remember it so well is I thought for sure you guys were done, and you really did. You came out and played really well in the second half. Like, you got settled in, you started taking the easy throws, started getting completions, and then kind of by the time that final drive came in, I don't even know if it was necessarily the final drive, but by the time it was the that drive that you threw the 4th down, and I'm pretty sure ETN ran it in to score. I mean, you were settled in a little bit, and it was fun to watch.
I would say that, coming out from halftime, I remember the conversation, Coach Sweeney kind of, I mean, he knew my situation. I mean, he knew I didn't have any reps and no experience. So I remember him telling Coach Elliott and Coach Scott that it's going to be like an old school game, ground and pound. And I think ETN carried it like 30 times that game, something outrageous, had like
over 30 yards and 3 scores.
I mean, we really dominated up front. That O-line really took initiative of like putting the game on their back pretty much. Obviously Travis making plays, Feaster, Adam Choice, those other guys complimenting well. So we had fresh legs.
You guys were loaded. And then not to mention you had Higgins, Ross.
Right. We had Amari, Renfro. Renfro made a great catch on a much needed conversion, confidence booster for me. But yeah, I was a little happy feet early on, and then I got the interception out of the way. And then after that, we had 2 drives that went 94 yards and like 90 yards or something like that, and made a couple throws, RPOs, just reading the safety and throwing those bang 8s that really gave me some confidence. And then obviously that last drive to go win it. my sister's actually dating the kid that false started, so they always remind me that play would have never happened if he didn't false start. So, but we had a little false start, 4th and 6, and called just a little invert smash concept. And I always say this: when in doubt, that ball was probably going to find T. Higgins no matter what. But one of my best throws, I feel like it came out pure. It was a very confident throw, rhythm 3 hitch, and just throw it in the hole.
You didn't double clutch. You knew you took your drop, you hitched, and you put the ball in the money. The guy made
that was I think, Pat, you might remember when that was like a big deal. 3rd and long or any 4th down, they always played this weird invert type of coverage. And so that was like not one of the main things I remember, but it was a huge reminder, in those late downs that they might do this. And so they did it. We had the perfect play called, and after that, I think I ran it for 15 something yards.
You pulled it on
a Grady back. I put it on a back. Wasn't supposed to pull it.
But the whole defense, I remember, crashed super hard.
Yeah.
But it was like our key on. It was like our inside zone back. So like the tight end was coming to block back, and it was a give call every single time. And Chase ends up pulling it, carries like 3 guys for like a gain of 15 yards. We were all fired up.
Would you just had no threat defender in the apex, or no alley defender, so you just pulled it and took off?
They were screaming really, really tight and really hard, and we missed our our tight end kind of missed. He dove in between, tripped Travis, but I already had the ball already. It was more of just an instinctive play. Probably
nice.
Usually would have been a bonehead play in practice. Like, what are you doing, Chase? But in that case, it worked out, luckily.
Golly, what a phenomenal story. And then I know you got to play a little bit the rest of the year, and then you guys ended up going on to win the freaking national championship in Pecker slapped Alabama, by the way. That was a beatdown from the first series too, through that pick 6, right? And it was over from there.
Yeah, the good guys won that day.
Everyone was talking. I remember going into that 2018 game, or that national championship game. Everyone was talking about how Alabama was the best football team anybody's ever seen, and that we didn't stand a chance. And to this day, we were really, really good, really, really talented on both sides of the field. If you put us out there and if we played Alabama 10 times out of 10 or 10 games, that it might be getting split. But we played the perfect game when we needed to.
Yeah, you guys did, man. What an awesome experience, awesome season. Before we talk on the rest of your career, I want to ask you a question because it's circling in my head. It's something I took a lot of pride in when I was at Carolina. Now, we didn't have a tenth of that kind of success. We were good my early years, but talk about the QB room. Patrick's one of your best friends. You talked about Trevor being one of your best friends. You talk about how you still talk to Kelly Bryant. Was that something that you guys took pride in that room, or was that just the culture of the team? Talk a little bit, because there are a lot of QB rooms that are not like that, dude. I was a part of one, and if that room's not together, it's weird how the rest of your team kind of follows suit in it being somewhat divided and contentious. And talk about that room and y'all's experience at Clemson together. And obviously, you got Trevor Lawrence, one of the best college quarterbacks in the history of the game. Kelly Bryant was phenomenal in college. You're obviously no slouch. You're playing professional football. You had an amazing rest of your career. Patrick sucks, but we know that. Just kidding. No, Patrick can spin it. You guys, it's so funny. You guys had an incredible bond. I actually want both of you guys to touch on that because it's pretty powerful and it's extremely meaningful for the kids that are going to listen to this message.
You may go first.
Yeah, brother.
Okay. I think first and foremost, our team, the older guys, the leadership that we got to walked out when we first got there had a lot to do with how we treated each other. And I know for a fact that we all had a lot of respect for everyone in the room. We knew each one of us were in there for a reason. I mean, Derek Cooper and Hunter Johnson were also in that room at one point. Tucker Israel as well, who had many records in the state of Florida. So it wasn't me. I mean, it was big team, little me. And I think that was just big in our development. Whether that was me coming off the sidelines and Kelly helping me out, vice versa, Pat helping me out, just all of us pitching in on what they saw at that moment of time. And, I mean, we all liked each other, like as people. I mean, inside the room, we were Clemson football players, sure. We all had a locker. We all had a cubby. We got to represent the Paul, but like we all ate dinner together. Outside of that, we were boys. I don't feel like we really thought that we were football players when we were outside of the building. We were just like college kids, if that kind of makes sense. And so
Perfect sense.
that was my experience with all those guys, and just furthering that relationship, whether it was golf, going to the lake, going to eat, like getting out of Clemson and like going somewhere else, kind of where we can just kind of wind down. That was what we did.
It sounds corny sometimes in a way, talking about like the whole, it's easier said than done, like the whole, it's not about me, it's about the team thing. But with Chase's point about truly being close friends and buddies, like I feel like a lot of times when guys can be friendly in the quarterback room or when you're in a team environment, but stepping away, there could be not necessarily animosity, but still like that competition that carries on into like the day-to-day life. And I feel like that never, ever existed. And knowing that each one of us played a substantial role, whether it was helping compete to be a starter or push the person beside you, or like I knew for me, if like Chase was saying, leading up to that Syracuse game, like been a signal caller, and if Chase wasn't dialed in, like his pregame prep, and I remember my pregame prep for games was I'm going over signals. Like after I take my quarterback test, like I got to make sure I'm on top of my game, and if I'm not on top of my game, then when Chase goes in or when Trevor's playing, that something goes sideways because I give a wrong call, like I'm toast. So like everybody has a specific role they have to play. But I think truly just that camaraderie of being buddies and wanting to see each other go and perform well. It wasn't necessarily, hey, one-on-one, I'm going to make a better throw than you, or competing in Scaly, I want to have a higher completion percentage. Like we're very open and transparent in our quarterback room, like giving each other feedback and constructive criticism and praising when things went well. Because like when you go through a lot of ups and downs throughout the season, you want to help pick each other up. But also I think part of it too was we knew how talented we were and the potential we had to go win a championship, go to the playoffs. And so that like the me has to go out the window to ever even get to that point. And so when you know your team as a whole has an opportunity to go be special, then it eliminates anything about your personal self. And we all knew like when we got our opportunity, that was our time to go shine and make the most of the opportunity we had. And so there was no bitterness or feeling like I had to go one up somebody at all. It was all about the betterment of each ever individual in that room.
That's awesome. So Chase, I have a question for you. So once that, I guess, national championship, at what point did you transfer schools?
I left or I entered the portal after the LSU national championship, the one we lost.
Yep.
Got it.
So
you went to so that was the fall of 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Hit the portal, COVID, and then Where'd you end up going? I know the answer.
Yeah,
but
spring of or January of 2020. I gave it a few days. And I was like, I mean, obviously at that point nobody knew about COVID. So, I was already planning on graduating and in May and moving on. So talked to Coach Sweeney, no bad blood there at all, understood completely. And I only got to take one visit. That window kind of closed before I got to look at Purdue or Washington, and schools like that. But I took my one visit to Duke that I had my eyes on for a while. I liked Duke coming out of high school. I really felt like it would be a good fit there, and ended up taking my visit, really, really liking it. The guys on the team, the coaching staff, and ended up committing in, I believe it was February. And it was shortly after my birthday, late January, February. And then, so COVID hit and boom, it was like, crap. Like, when are we going to report? Nobody knew anything. When were we going to report? All of that. We're having a fall camp. So it was a tough year for everybody and myself included, but also being my first time starting. I started all 11 games. I didn't have a great year. A lot of downs, some ups, but mostly downs.
Talk about the downs, man. What was so down about it? You played in every game, right?
Right, and that's the point, right? You want to play.
You're starting at a Power 5 ACC, pretty daggone, really football program on the rise in a big way.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm hearing a lot of downs. Talk about that. I know a lot of kids probably resonate.
Yeah, I think it just sucked because I got there. I ended up getting there earlier in June, but we didn't report as a team until July, and then had these mini summer workouts and crap. We're separated in locker rooms. Half the team's in the home locker room, half the team's in the away locker room. Like, I'm a people person. I'm a team guy. Like, I want to be around everybody. Couldn't have that. I felt like I couldn't be myself during that time because, mask, you're covered up. Like, I didn't see some people's faces all
What a
year.
miserable deal
It was. And Duke, just was a lot more, it was stricter than other colleges. And then we had a little bit of a fall camp, and I felt like I was late into getting a lot of reps that I felt like I needed. I felt like I needed more reps in preparation of the season starting, but
yeah,
it is what it is. And first game of the year at Notre Dame, my first start, it was nuts, honestly.
Welcome to college football, even though you've already been playing, but coming off the bench is way different than starting a game.
Yeah.
Night and day different. And
so that was a wake-up call, and the confidence was there. I felt like every week I was still confident, but a lot of the ball just doesn't go your way sometimes. And I felt like at Clemson, it just went our way. We knew going into the games we were going to win, and I felt like being at Duke as a team, we just didn't have maybe that that confidence and stuff like that. But it was a hard year, and I felt like we had a lot of games to win, and we in the fourth quarter we would somehow I'd throw an interception or they make another team make a big play, and I felt like we would just kind of crash. That foundation wasn't quite there. Yeah, and so it was, and plus, just like I said, COVID, classes, don't go to class, go online. We can't afford, we're getting tested every day. It just wasn't normal. And it's really, I'm really glad to see that program elevate this past year, because a lot of guys I played with, we're playing phenomenal football, and we're really good football players. And our team has a lot of guys in the league right now, playing for teams, and so we were very talented. We struggled finishing games, but it was a learning experience. Like, I'm grateful for that, and it helped me kind of understand where I lacked at as a leader, as a player, as a friend, like, and how I bettered myself when I ended up going to App State.
Yeah. So you had doesn't really sound like you really enjoyed your time. And because of that, was that hey, I've got a couple years left. I got another COVID year. I need to go somewhere where I just feel like I'm home again, right? Kind of a similar feeling like you had at Clemson. So you hit the portal again, and then now you're at App State. So talk about that transition to your third school. And then, I mean, dude, you had a phenomenal career at App State. I mean, I'm pretty sure you were the quarterback of the team that beat A&M, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yes,
I mean,
sir.
Unbelievable. Watch that game from start to finish. Just awesome, awesome stuff. So talk about your time at App State, and then I want to poke your brain on portal and then any kind of NIL stuff that you either saw, either you got, any stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'll just go and preface this. Like, as a quarterback, one guy can play. And now I got my playing time at Duke. I just think overall it wasn't the right fit after spending a season there. And I think for both parties, like, it just kind of worked out in the best ways. So never ideal. I didn't like want to transfer twice. Like, that was never in my, in the books to leave. Like, but for my interest and where I wanted to go, like, I felt like I needed to. Obviously, that's taken a chance because I had some things like, would I be eligible? Those types of questions that I had to kind of fumble through. But with the whole COVID deal, like, what are they allowing us to do and whatnot? So I entered the portal again, unsure about if I'd get a call. I mean, I led the country in interceptions in 2020. Like, I struggled. I had a low QBR. And, I had a, coming from Clemson, you're a hot name, you're a hot commodity. Oh my goodness, and then boom, oh, we saw what he did, like, on the other side of the ACC. Ooh, I don't know if we want to take this kid, but, thankfully the good Lord is so good. He, App State reaches out. I didn't even care. Like, immediately I was like, yes, like that. I've heard enough about Appalachian State that that's the type of, program team that I can play for. They're gritty. They got that dub against South Carolina. You know what I'm saying? So, like, they're
Wait, were you the quarterback of that team?
No, that was Zach Thomas.
Okay.
That was Zach Thomas, also baller.
Yeah.
Zach Thomas played against me. He is a baller.
And
yeah, we were
that
there.
team was very
I was
good.
at that game. Yeah, that was a good team and a terrible South Carolina team.
That was Drinkwitz. Drinkwitz. So they were loaded. But getting to App, that was like a breath of fresh air. I knew that, like, we'd have fans, like, my parents could come watch me. That was another kind of deciding factor, like, leaving Duke. I didn't know how they would carry on their COVID rules. With getting students in the stands, like
Democrats, man. Unbelievable.
But so it was just a really good experience, and we were a really good football team. So,
Chase, I want to interrupt you for a second.
Yes.
Don't let your head swell up too big here. Let me read to you guys these stats. Okay. So you talked about 2020 led the country. You said in interceptions, you had 15 picks. 2021, you flipped the switch. You jumped to App State. You throw for 3,300 yards, 27 touchdowns, and 11 picks. 2022, 2,900 yards, 63%, 27 touchdowns, 6 picks. Great improvement. We used to talk about 3-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio is prime, I mean, this is almost, you're flirting with 5-1 here. That's
Dog.
that is a hell of a season.
There's a lot of meat left on the bone too in that 2020 season that I'm upset about. I don't know if I'll ever get over, but yeah.
Wait, hey, I want to ask you a question. You played against Troy. Was that that last second touchdown?
I came up for that game.
Because wasn't that game day, or why was that game such a big deal? You guys just played Texas A&M and won, and then the next week you played Troy.
Yeah, this is pretty funny. So, we go into A&M, and like I got to travel there in 2018.
Yep.
Obviously didn't play, but like incredible environment, really awesome. They came to Clemson in 2019, also just a great game. So it was my third time getting to see them. And I'm thinking to myself, like, all right, this is one of the they just had the #1 recruiting class, I believe. Like these are some bad dudes. There's a lot of money involved here. There's a lot of money involved. There's some jobs on the line if something doesn't happen. Like, I was just like, let's keep it. In my mind, I'm like, let's keep it close. Like, we had a heartbreaker versus UNC. We should have won that game easily. Not easily, but like we had opportunities to win that game. So back-to-back P5 teams. A&M's trying to, revive their their average seasons in the past. And so just keep it close. And then after the first quarter, I'm like we're honestly a better team as a whole. We are a better, they were very talented, but like we were staying right there with them. And so, yeah, we end up beating them. And they were supposed to have game day the next week versus Tennessee or Florida. I don't know. It was supposed to be at College Station. Next thing you know, we beat them. We're sitting on. We had plane troubles trying to get back. We're sitting on the tarmac for like 3 hours, and we get a call, or Coach Clark gets a call, and they're like, "College Gameday is coming to Boone. They're coming to Kid Brewer," and we were just like. Okay, like it's gonna be awesome, and
that's sick.
And Troy, they just won the Sun Belt the year before. No, excuse me, sorry, they didn't. They won it They won it in 2022. But very good team, very good defense. Found a way to, put points on the board. And we battled back and forth, and yeah, it came down to a Hail Mary throw that you dream about. Being a part of, not almost losing what you dream about, but you dream about winning on a Hail Mary, and that's what happened. It was I'm sure y'all ran it. It was the 4x1. Everybody runs down, and then you got the guy, and you got the jumper, you got the tipper, you got the rat that comes around in the front, and then 2 guys on the sides, or maybe one behind. I can't remember. But I threw it a little short. I threw an absolute duck. But I felt like I threw it like 80 yards, like as far as like height wise. I launched it very high just to give them a chance. Yeah, it was a tip. Boom, Christian Horn comes underneath. Oh yeah, here it is.
So
okay, so 3. Yeah, the play before this should have been an interception.
Launch.
The ball was in there for like 7 seconds.
Look at that! Look at that!
So Chase, I was watching the game, and I actually turned it off and went and was doing something, and I get a call after that happened from a buddy of mine. He says, "Hey, App State just won on a Hail Mary," and I'm like, "No freaking way!" He said, "Turn on ESPN right now." Turned on ESPN. It was you chucking that thing up, baby.
I was supposed to roll to the right a little bit, give myself some time, hitch up, let it go. Their All-American DN, they knew what we were doing. He just rushes super wide. So yeah, I just had to not get sacked.
I don't know if you know this or not. So Evan and his wife are both South Alabama Jaguars, so they hate Troy. So that's a big win in the Orth household for App State. Anything anti-Troy is a big win in the Orth house.
Well, I had my whole family come because my dad played baseball at Troy, so there was like a ton of family, and obviously Pat was there, friends, and it was just an awesome way to end the game. And
what an incredible night that probably was.
Yeah, we had a crazy 4
We
weeks.
burnt Boone to the ground. That was my first time ever going up there. So me and Chase have been talking because I was like, dude, I got to get up there to see a game. He's like, come to Troy. The whole family's coming, whatever. So we're up there watching the game, going back and forth. And then I'm sitting there with his family. His mom is just a nervous wreck, like sitting here just praying. And I'm like, oh my goodness. Chase throws that thing up. Like he said, duck. I'm like, shit, man, that thing's not getting there. Hips, scoops, the place erupts.
Oh my God.
It was insane.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's game day. I happened to be there. I mean, it was wild.
Madhouse. I played in 2018 at App State, and it was an awesome environment. The fans were crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It was sweet. They had I'll always say this, we played against some pretty good teams, and App State had the best defense I've ever faced. They were all over the place.
Yeah.
They were incredible. And
you want to hear something crazy about you talking about that game is actually you guys played on that bachelor party I was at. You guys played Chase at Clemson at 12, and then Evan played at 3:30. So by the time I got to Evan's game on TV, the second half was
That's pretty funny.
Couldn't tell you the second half.
Blurry.
Yeah, a little blurry.
Oh, it was black.
Tequila up.
It wasn't blurry. Chase's game was blurry.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. So anyway, it was awesome, and that was incredible. I mean, now that I can finally get to meet you and talk about that, that's a pretty cool journey, man. Coming from a place where you loved it, and then you just made a change because you wanted to be the guy.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Lord leads you to App State, which is an incredible program. I'm always pushing the quarterbacks that I work with. Hey, App State's a great place, and they keep switching OCs here and there. So I have a hard time like nailing one down, but they're a great program, man. They got great athletes, awesome place, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Boone is beautiful. I remember in the hotel, I was like, I think there's a bear outside of the hotel. I hear something. I need to go to sleep. So
crazy, man. So I got a question. So you hit the portal. Talk about the portal experience. How do you educate the kids that might want to learn? Because the portal and NIL, that combo is like the Wild West. It's a mystery to the people that haven't gone through it. So talk about, what do you need to do? I know you go through like some type of a filing process, and
Mm-hmm.
so share that with us.
Yeah. So what I did was, I guess like now, like you can, I think the right way to do it is obviously to let your head coach know and your position coach, out of respect. I just think, that's the first thing you should do. But after letting, Coach Sweeney know and Coach Cutcliffe know, you get in touch with the compliance office, and they'll send you, I'm trying to remember now, it's pretty much just they put you in the portal, and you get an email back like you are not, you're now in the NCAA transfer portal. And boom, like once you're in, it refreshes, and these teams can now poach at you. They can try to get you.
Awesome.
So is it like is it just like a list of players? Is that basically what the colleges are getting? Yeah.
Yeah, you can, there's an online version. That's what everybody uses pretty much, and you can just filter it and sort it how you want. So it's pretty easy. It is really easy. I mean, if a kid wants, I think he can just notify compliance.
Yeah. What would be your advice for somebody who is wanting to transfer, but it might not be the right decision, or it might be like, how do you kind of go through that? What is the right decision?
Yeah, I think for me, like when I decided to do it, it was, I have 2 more years left. pre-COVID, right? So I had 2 more years left, and like, Trevor's got 1 more year essentially. I mean, he was 3 and done, going to be the number 1 pick. You can choose to sit and wait. I think Mac Jones is a perfect example of it. Probably could have left, but sat and just waited, had his great 1 year. I thought maybe I needed 2 with just like, I don't know. I think I was just like ready to go personally.
Yeah.
So I think a kid, like, don't make a lateral move, right? Like, the point was for me, I wanted to graduate first. I wanted to have that degree. I feel like once I got that degree, I earned it. To try to go play now and compete.
Absolutely.
And I don't think Duke was a lateral move, right? Like, I got to play, so that was a plus. Now,
Yeah, you don't want to transfer to be the number 2.
yes, especially to a team that, I had 3 years into Clemson and like knew that offense very well. Like, was able to kind of like teach it at as far as the concepts and things, but don't make a lateral move because you're, unhappy. Don't transfer. And this is kind of the old school in me. Like, don't transfer like just for the money or people that are reaching you when they're not supposed to. It's hard to trust those types of people, right? Because they're going to want you, and guess what? They're going to want the next best kid that's right behind at another school to come beat you out at wherever you just, they just got you at. And so, don't make a lateral move. But it's also, you have to earn that job as well. Like, if you don't earn it, then I think that's on you. And go where you want, like where you can play, whether if that's dropping down. Like, I think there's the thing now is kids, these at these App States, Charlottes, Arkansas State, South Owls, like, these kids are like really freaking good. And they're showing out at their respective college. And now they're getting looked at by Auburn, Ole Miss, Texas, places like that, Alabama.
And dude, more importantly, it's much like high school. Like, you're getting taped for the next level.
Yeah.
You think those pros, an 18-yard comeback to the field is the same distance at South Alabama as it is at Alabama. And if you're putting that thing on the money and that thing's humming out of your hand, it doesn't matter if you're playing App State or you're playing Georgia. It does not matter, right?
The trend, like, it's crazy. It's changed so much. Like, it's hard for me to really describe like a reason to leave. I mean, I think, for a kid coming out of, I think it better is if you're coming out of high school, like, who cares about the front of the jersey? Like, in the league you're going to, right? Like, you want to go looking for development, a staff that, within, let's just say 3 to 4 years is going to be there. It's unfortunate that some of these kids, they go to a place and then a year later, boom, like, coach is out. Then it's like everything's just chaotic. Like, they don't even know how to think. They're 18, 19 years old. They're looking at different games, different guys playing, like, oh, I'm better than him. Like, I'm going to hit the portal. Like, I can play. Well, okay, if you choose to do that, that's great. But once you hit that portal, that team, like App State, doesn't have to take you back, right? Now, it doesn't matter what you do. Like, it's up to you. You don't have to get picked up. That's kind of the reality of, I'll say quarterbacks, but a lot of kids entering the portal, that's why I think if you're just balling at your school where you're at, like, stay. That's a lot. And it's different. The new age, they don't care about the amount of work you've like put into your years, right? Like, if it's a 5th year guy, like, it's what have you done for me lately? You know, like if you had 4 great years and then you just had an average year your last year, that's all they're going to remember. So it's tough and where we're at with football, but just stay if you can, because if you decide to leave, you can get lost quickly.
Did NIL play a part in anything of you, or did
Zero.
did you experience anything? Did you get offers, or have you seen how that works? Not really. It wasn't
No. Once I was a starter once I became the starter, and then NIL, I was in 21. So January of 21, I got there, and I think that was kind of like the first introduction to NIL. And I tried to work some things out, but for me, it wasn't about that. I was already, I don't know, 24. I was older than everybody. And all I really cared about was getting some free dinners, for my O-line when I took them out on Thursdays, and then just around town, if I was able to get, some free stuff, I was cool with that. Now I did work with a couple. I did a hair hair and body wash
Yeah, you
deal.
did.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, you did.
They paid I got paid for that, or
wearing nothing but cowboy boots and a hat.
it was
the Manscaped, wasn't it?
Jason's hair and body.
Let me show you my grooming kit, everyone.
But yeah, I mean, I pitched around to try to get some C4 energy and be with local places. Also, H Goose was a deal, and Pat got some merch from that. I was all about getting free merch or just promoting things. So I was not out here asking for, let me get a truck from the dealership. But now, I would say in 2022, I wish I would have my senior year.
Truck.
I wish I would have been hey, did an NIL with my where I lived, my apartment complex or something like that, get free living. That would be awesome. But I never followed through. I was just focused on ball, to be honest.
Gritty. I love it.
Now you're a football guy. I thought Patrick said that you rolled into Dabo's office and said, "Give me 150K or I'm out of here."
You freaking kidding me, Chase?
You want another backup like me, man?
That's awesome. No, what a great story. So now tell us what you're doing now and what you've been. I knew you were training because I follow you on Instagram. You were training down in Jacksonville a little bit pre-draft, pre-professional stuff. So talk a little bit about so you get done, you're training for the combine, the draft, and then what did you do after college, and what are you doing now?
So I trained down in Jacksonville. Great experience down there. Really improved my fundamentals and how I spin the ball. And then I did 2 mini camps, one with the Jets, one with the Falcons. Didn't stick. Nothing really came about. And so my next move was to wait it out because I got drafted to the Gamblers in the USFL draft. But I decided I was just unsure of how the league would, I didn't know much about it, and the league was starting up. But I decided to sign with the BC Lions in the CFL. We're up in Vancouver. That's where we're based out of, in Surrey, British Columbia. Great spot. Really enjoyed my last season there. I spent the whole year last year there. I re-signed, so I'll be heading there. Actually, Wednesday we'll go for a little mini camp. So I'll be there for about 5 days, and then real preseason camp I'll report May 7th. And so super excited about that. We've been having Zoom meetings and just staying in shape, staying on top of everything, and gonna go compete. Go compete. And
You sounded scared.
no, that's why I'm drinking this water. My throat's dry, man.
We so where are you living right now? Are you in Georgia?
Right now I'm in my parents in Athens.
Awesome.
So I've been substitute
What's it
teaching.
been like being on the other side of the world?
Dude, it's so different. Especially like I'm a southern boy, so southern man, so like West Coast, like we're above Seattle, like we're above Washington. We're about as west as you can get in Canada. And so
How much do those people up there love Justin Trudeau? Do you know who that is?
yeah, I know.
Who's Justin Trudeau?
He's the damn communist running Canada.
Oh my gosh.
Dude, that guy is
Damn
like
commies.
off his marbles.
I don't no comment on that up there. I worry about ball up there. That's all they got.
That's right,
I need
brother.
to
I like to
it's cool.
dabble
Like
in the politics.
it's like a mini big city.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different, cultures up there, and really good food. Really enjoyed my time, like finding places to eat. And we got a great stadium. It's an indoor. It's a great fan base. It's really fun. Like I feel like it's a great league. The field's a little wider, it's a little longer. We throw the ball, there's 3 downs, 12 guys on each side of the ball, like a little bit different. There's a lot of different rules, but very interesting. Should definitely, tune in. CFL Plus, you can stream it free in America.
So Chase, we actually had a European football player on here last week, and so we got a Canadian football player. I'm not sure what we got next week, but
Maybe
yeah.
NFL.
We're gonna be in
hopefully
China.
China.
Right.
It's from
Chase,
China.
I know that we're getting close to wrapping it up, but everybody that plays this position, especially that loves the game of football, you compete and you do all these things. What is, I guess, your why of why you do what you do? Like what kind of kept you going? What, would you play for? That kind of thing.
Yeah, that's a great question, because I've battled that. When I was talking about that down year in 2020, and also felt like I wasn't being utilized well when I got to play at Clemson in a way. When I got playing time, I just didn't feel like I was used right. Pretty, just put it that way. I mean, kind of like a crash dummy. Like, let's work on a lot of things now that Chase is in, and stuff like that. So the easy answer is it's all I know. And I'm still given the opportunity to play, and I love the game. And like it was hard for me to do a 6-year. I was going to be 25. And so, or I was good. Yeah, I was turning 25, and just my body was so different. And it was like, how am I going to be able to relate to 18-year-old freshmen, redshirt guys? And so, I battled a lot with just that confidence part, staying intrigued with football. But those were just phases. And I think now it's my job. I look at it as my job, and I want to continue to keep playing as long as I'm able to. And I love the game. Football has been everything. And yeah, I mean,
what do you want to do when you're done playing?
When I'm done, I've thought about this.
Coaching?
Thought about doing some coaching. I mean, me and Pat probably had a hour-and-a-half conversation this past weekend, literally over what we're talking about. And, my whole family's in sales. They do heavy construction. They sell heavy construction equipment. So that's something that I honestly know a pretty good bit about, I feel like. And wouldn't be opposed to doing that. I would love to stay around the game. Whether that's, coaching or other ways or other avenues, within college football.
QB1 Athens.
QB1 Athens. I mean,
QB1 Vancouver.
QB1 Vancouver.
But yeah, I mean, right now, I think, and I've been asked this question by, aunts and uncles and everybody, like, hey man, what do you want to do?
Hi, man.
Hey man, you're 26 now. Like, what do you got going? I'm like, I'm still playing football. Like, I want to play.
Yeah.
Now there were times,
awesome,
right,
man.
where it's like, do I want to keep playing? And then I always revert back to, like, I love the game no matter what. Like, practice can suck all at once. But you step out on the field, like on a game day, and you realize, like, all that work you put in since I was, 7 years old. And then those 6 summers you put in college, it's like, look, I got to keep going. Like,
I'll bet in I don't know how much you got to play last year. I haven't had a chance to look up. And
zero. I didn't play. I was practice squad the whole year.
But I could imagine going and playing in Canada, or really even in the NFL in a way, unless you're like the guy of an NFL franchise. It might not carry the same pressure of, dude, college football in the South is heavy.
Yeah.
It is heavy. And people, I mean, listen to that interview by Bo Nix, went viral recently. I'm talking about, he's like, dude, in Oregon, they're like, that's sick quarterback. Like, it's cool, like super carefree. But dude, at Auburn, I mean, the dude was still balling. He made some of the best plays I've ever seen the year that people were just calling for his head.
I agree.
And I mean, whether it's at Clemson, whether it's at Duke, App State, South Carolina, South Alabama, I mean, it's heavy and it means a lot to a lot of people. So I could imagine it being a little bit more freeing, where you're just playing the game again, almost kind of like high school a little bit.
You're right. The West Coast, it was a culture shock in that way. I mean, hockey, soccer, like, there's a lot of different things that are popular out there. And, the CFL is like making its way up. I mean, it's been around for a long time, but in a city like Vancouver, there's a lot of different things to do. And there's a few other professional teams. So, like, we're not like the front runner, but it's definitely growing out there. And we had a great year last year. Vernon Adams had an amazing year.
Yes, I forgot he's a QB. Yeah, that's right.
Been a great guy, mentor,
baller. By the way, baller.
And so, he's looking to really, take us far. The Grey Cup's in Vancouver this season, so that's another huge incentive for the guys. And I'm excited to be a part of it again.
Man, that's fantastic. Dude, this was an unbelievable guest, by the way. I mean, what an awesome, from Clemson to Duke to App State, unbelievable college career, playing professional ball now. Appreciate you being on. This is fantastic.